Hey guys, welcome to American Beer TV. We're doing something a little different for you today. As you may or may not know, Kenny runs a restaurant here in La Mirada, and the third Thursday of every month, he does a beer dinner.
Yes.
So we get 4 beers from a given brewery in the hope. You know, we try to get in the area.
Yeah.
Who do we have today?
So this month we're doing Smog City Brewing Company.
Cool.
Very small brewery. Yeah.
Nice. And so when you're coming up with a menu here, do you normally taste the beers first, or do you have an idea in mind for the food, or how's that work?
Yeah. 99% of the time, if I can, I taste the beers first. Sometimes if it's a really odd special release, and I get it right before the dinner. Once in a while that happens.
Yeah.
But I usually try to go over with a representative of the brewery, or this month I actually met with the brewer himself and we talked about what we wanted to do. One cool thing that I really liked about Smog City's beers is they had all these really clean flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to do the food pairings with like really clean flavors too. So I kind of picked a theme of Thai food, because
Cool.
that was kind of what was going through my mind when I was, going through the tasting. I just kept thinking, oh, this would go really good with something ginger or something spicy or whatever. Kind of rule of thumb, there's no one set way to go when you're pairing food and beer. You really have to go with what you like. If you want to do, we could have done barbecue, and we could have picked different aspects of barbecue or whatever.
Right.
So if you're doing
So
a
many
backyard
different flavors, right.
burgers, you can do a bunch of different burgers. There's some really cool stuff you can do with it. I just went with the Thai theme, and first off, we've got their Saison.
Right.
Saison,
And what dish do we have here?
The food is hot and sour fish salad. So
Cool.
it's served cold, so it's grilled fish, and then that's mixed with ginger, mint, basil, chilies, lots of lime juice, a ton of lime juice, and a little bit of rice wine vinegar and a little salt. Just kind of
Right.
balances.
So you're getting the spicy. Some of those spices are things that we normally find, used in saisons. Very much like the ginger,
Right.
ginger saison,
Right.
or some basil. I've seen some of those spices used in it, so it'll probably pair very nicely
Yeah.
with that. Real nice. So going on here now, we have their Saber-Tooth Squirrel Amber, which is 7.1%, lightly hopped. Somewhat hopped amber ale. And what dish did you do to pair with that?
So this one, after tasting the beer, I just thought of chicken satay. Chicken satay typically is made with, and we made it here with coconut milk, and again, ginger, a little bit of kind of like curry seasonings, really.
I see.
So it's kind of like Thai curry. And then we top that with cucumber and peanut relish. So the maltiness are really nutty, and that was the first thing that came to my mind, was something really nutty. So I wanted to do something with some sort of nuts, so I did the peanut relish.
Cool.
And cucumber relish. So it's really bright, clean, peanutty. That'll really balance with the malt characteristic.
Cool. What do we got over here?
This is their extra pale ale, and this is a roast pork that's roasted with a ton of spices. It's cumin, ginger again, brown sugar, cinnamon. Cinnamon is the one that really pops. It's got star anise and a little soy sauce for the saltiness, and then that's paired up with a daikon radish, sweet bell pepper, and basil salad.
Cool.
That kind of gives it the freshness.
One question I have for you here. I know normally when you're doing just a straight up beer tasting, you kind of want to go from the lightest to the darkest, but I see we kind of skip around here a little bit, although the dishes are a little different. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, so I kind of went with the food. The food is kind of going heavier and heavier as you go through, but I did the extra pale ale because it was really hoppy.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know it looks really light, but it's actually really hoppy pale ale.
I see.
So I really wanted to accentuate the flavors of the pork with something really hoppy. There's kind of 2 rules of thought. Some people like really spicy food, like as in heat. I like really spicy food as in flavor, to go with hops,
Gotcha.
because hops is a spice, and something really spicy, whether it's hot or whether it's just tons of flavor, meld really well with something really hoppy.
Cool.
So
and
then we go to dessert. Dessert is a coffee porter with tons of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And with the coffee, I thought, like an after dinner drink or whatever,
Exactly.
like coffee. It's a coconut cream cupcake.
Very
so
nice.
the cupcake is actually filled all the way to the core with a sweet
Oh,
coconut
wow.
cream, and then roasted coconut over the top. Roasted coconut will go with the roasted beer. Coffee goes with the
Sounds
dessert. It just works.
Sounds awesome.
So let's start
Enough talking
drinking.
about it. Let's get into this. So we've got saison, and let's get into the dish here. When I kind of help out here on the beer dinners, and I talk to the customers, and I kind of explain to them if it's their first time on how to do a beer dinner. And what I normally tell them to do is to take a sip of the beer, get an idea of the flavor of the beer, then take a bite of the food to get, to taste the food and all the flavors that are involved in that. But then when they have like a little bit of the food left still in their mouth, take a swig of beer and try to pay attention to how the beer changes the flavor of the food and how the food changes the flavor of the beer. So that's one of the main rules of thumb when you're doing a food and beer pairing. So let's first try the beer. This is a really nice example of the saison style. It's definitely got the wheat characteristic. You've got some of that funky aspect. You're getting some citrus notes. You're getting that yeast quality coming through. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this pairs up.
I
So
love the funkiness of the yeast.
yeah, it's definitely got some of that saison
That's-
farmhouse
that's
funk. Let's get into this.
I'm gonna try not to drop it in the beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you get that real acidic lime.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of the mint and the basil that kind of come
Mhm.
through.
Yep, it's all in there. Now let's take a little sip. Really, the beer really kind of awakens some of the flavors in there. That the spiciness a little bit, the
Yeah.
citrus qualities. Really
Yeah,
kind
you
of brings
really
it
start
out.
to taste the spice after you drink the beer.
Yeah.
And I notice when I go to the beer after having the food in my mouth, it really brings out the malt characteristic of the beer. That's what's so cool, is that actually, not only did it complement the food, but it actually changed the flavor component
Yeah.
of the beer. So
I got one of those Serrano chilies in there.
Yeah.
That heat and Belgian
Love
beers
it.
just really.
like it.
You wouldn't necessarily think about it, but Belgian beers work really well with spicy food.
Mhm.
So this Belgian style or saison style beer really works nicely with it. So let's move on to the second one here. So this is a saber-tooth squirrel amber ale. Let's get into it. It's got a really nice color to it. Picking up that nuttiness you're talking about. It's
Really,
definitely there. There's a little bit of hop
really
presence.
nice malt characteristic.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Yeah, when I was drinking this beer at the tasting, I really loved the really complex malt flavors that
Yeah.
were coming out. So when you get this,
let's
dig into the
satay and
So the coconut milk is really gonna complement the malt characteristic, and then the peanut that's in here, I want to get that too.
yeah, it's got lots of peanut flavor to it.
So the peanut's like some of the specialty grains, Munich malts, Caribbean, things like that.
Mm-hmm. It does pair well
Nuttiness
nicely.
is going to kind of bring
Mhm.
that out. Any sort of chocolate malts and things like that, and amber ales. Nuts do good.
And since the chicken is grilled,
The coconut milk really adds a whole nother.
and
flavor.
the cucumber really adds a brightness to it. It
Mhm.
kind of shows a little bit more of the hop profile on this.
Mhm.
So it actually works together very, very nicely. Really nice pairing there.
There's a little bit of heat in here. There's a
Little
little
bit.
bit of chili in the cucumber relish too.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's go on to the extra pale ale here.
Yep.
And this is the hoppiest one of the evening, but it's only at 4.8 ABV. It's got a really nice color to it again. Really,
Ooh.
really nice.
Really clean.
Very clean,
Yeah.
amazingly clean.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of like a bready malt quality to it, but really it's hops. So this is a nice sessionable hoppy beer. So let's
I
get
want
into
to
this pork.
taste just the pork.
Okay.
I think the pork is really what I wanted to shine here, and with the cinnamon and the star anise
Wow.
and the ginger and all that is really going to complement the hops in this beer.
That really has a tremendous amount of flavor with all those seasonings and spices in there.
That's awesome.
Really nice.
That's so good. I wish you guys could taste this. So
Mm-hmm.
again, Some people
It
love
does.
like
Those hops really work with
some
that.
people's like biggest thing is like chicken wings, like really spicy buffalo chicken wings and an IPA. Well, you can kind of take it to the other end of the spectrum and do something with just tons of flavor. It doesn't have to be a ton of heat.
Right.
And
But it
the
does.
hops
Those hops really do kind of
make
mingle
those
with that.
hops pop.
They do. It's nice. And then, but that dish is definitely
And
robust
then
enough.
go in with the salad. Try to get some basil and then get some pork in there too. So then you can get, instead of this is really savory, then you can kind of get this bright acidic kind of topping. That'll work well with the hops as well. Should really change, right?
It does. It really changes because you've got a lot of, you've got some of that citrus, you've got some of that acidity, you've got some brightness with the salad, and it really kind of, and that
Big
basil's in there.
Yeah, and you know the trend right now too, as
Really
all
nice.
of you guys know, is really citrusy, fruity, tropical hops and IPAs or pale ales or whatever.
So it works really
So
nice.
if you kind of pair something up with that's kind of a tropical, fruity dish with
That
those
makes
hops,
sense.
it really pops.
Very nice. And last but certainly not least, let's get into the dessert here.
It's,
Why don't you cut that in half?
yeah, I'm gonna cut this in half, and I want to show you guys what this looks
Cool.
like through the center. So my my sister-in-law does all the baking. She's our resident pastry chef.
Oh, nice.
So I hand it off to her. She's got a business that's called Serve It Up Sweet. So
Cool name.
show you guys. So see, that goes all the way through the cupcake.
Very cool.
So here, I'll give you the plate and take the wrap.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it does.
So let's take a drink of the beer.
Yep. Now this is a coffee
I just wanna
porter.
dig on the cupcake.
Yeah, I know. So tons of coffee flavor in that.
Wow.
A little bit of chocolate underneath it.
Yeah, that's a
Really
super
definitely-
coffee.
Definitely coffee porter. Very nice. This one's 6.2% ABV, so it's a good, solid, hefty stout.
Yeah. So
Or
one thing
porter, excuse me.
to point out about this beer too is I talked to the brewer about, his name's Porter.
Yeah,
by the
Jonathan
way.
Porter, right?
Yeah.
From
So
Smog City.
he better make a good porter with it.
Damn Skippy, right?
But yeah, his beers are awesome. So I talked to Porter about his beer, and what he said he did, instead of putting it in the boil or putting it in the mash, he
The coffee
actually
beans?
he
Yeah.
actually grinds the coffee the day before and then puts it in the bright tank and lets the beer sit on top of the coffee.
Oh, wow.
So you don't get the bitter acidic quality out of the coffee.
I see.
You just get that real aromatic quality.
Right. It's really good.
So
It's
the
really nice.
bitterness
It's not really
from
harsh.
the beer,
It's not really bitter.
right? The any sort of bitterness may come from the hops or
Right.
something like that. So
Let's get into this cupcake here.
super creamy.
So yeah, definitely.
Cream stuff goes really well with roasted beers too. Yeah,
That's awesome.
so good. That is so good.
Wow. This is not really. I mean, it's sweet. I mean, it's a cupcake. It's sweet, but it's not like overly sweet. But when you take a sip of the chocolate porter or the coffee porter, it really brings out the sweetness. To me, that contrast really brings
that's
out the
perfect.
It's an amazing pairing.
I gotta go back for more.
Yeah, the dessert and beer pairing. I mean, people don't normally think about that, but you can pull off.
Oh yeah.
You know, with a chocolate porter or something like this, you can really pull off a great pairing and just blow people's minds.
Yeah. That's probably been the trickiest part of me
Mm-hmm.
doing pairings. I've been doing this for well over a year now.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
By far the hardest thing to pair is the dessert.
Right. A
'Cause
coffee
beer
porter makes
typically-
it kind of easy.
Yeah, I try to use the higher ABV beers, but you don't always have to. Like this beer is only 6.5%,
Right.
Yes, or 6.2. Sorry. So you don't have to go with the barley wines. I mean, you
Right.
can. It gives you a little more freedom to use a beer that's really high ABV because those beers typically are sweet.
Right.
So, but with this beer, because it had this awesome coffee component to it,
Perfect for it.
the sweetness is going to come out of the dessert, the coffee component of the beer is just going to make that
contrast,
pop
right.
unbelievable.
Nice, really great pairing. So, we wanted to share with you guys a little bit of what goes on here. It's really good. The third Thursday of every month, and showcase some of what we're doing here,
Yep.
and these flavors that you can play with, and let us know what you think about it. We'll try to be bringing this to you every month when we do it, and it's a great way for us to talk about how to pair beer with food, because I mean it's one thing to read about it and read about different flavors, but when you actually see dishes, you can really bring in some ideas, and you can do this at home next time you have a bottle share or you have a few beers.
Really, if any of you guys are watching this, you guys got ideas for beer pairings, shoot them over.
Send them in. Put them in the comments. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a dinner with your pairing,
That'd be
and
fun.
We'll send a shout out to you.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool, guys. Well, that's it for our first beer tasting dinner episode of American Beer TV. Hopefully many more to come. Let us know what you think about it, and cheers as always. Get out there and drink
some craft
beer and pair it with some amazing food.